In Lecture 7D, we can go a little deeper into details regarding specifics of distributed file systems and give you a couple examples you might run into in a research computing context. Let's start by discussing three basic storage primitives that are utilized in most distributed file systems. The first to talk about is file storage, and that's what you're probably most familiar with. The data segments are organized into files, typically in a hierarchical structure, so that you can have a folder, subfolders, and you can move throughout that hierarchy with scripts or commands that will process through those organized structure of data files. The next primitive is block storage, and you can think of block storage in terms of raw unformatted storage that you might get with a brand new hard drive or an unformatted flash drive. And the operating system simply sees this as individual blocks on a storage device. It hasn't been formatted yet. A file system has not been laid on top of that. Now, some file systems will utilize that to push the blocks around multiple hard drives or across different servers. So the block concept is important in understanding how that file system might be put together. But understand, block storage is considered as raw storage. It hasn't been formatted. It has no structure like your traditional file storage system. The third primitive is object storage. And object storage has become increasingly popular in recent years. It sort of falls between file storage and block storage. It's more advanced or more robust in terms of you can identify the location of objects, and it is on a formatted storage as opposed to block storage, which is raw and unformatted. It does not, however, have the rich semantics of a traditional file system. It doesn't have the hierarchy of folders, often won't have necessarily the same security semantics, such as putting access control on a per file or on a folder basis. And most importantly, doesn't have the full feature set of how you open, close, write, and edit files that you might find in a traditional file system. So if you hear these terms, file storage, block storage, object, you at least have a basic concept now of how those pieces and parts may play into the bigger distributed file system and how it might behave differently. So if I told you a file system is a distributed file system that uses traditional file storage, that you may be more familiar with. But you won't be surprised if I say, hey, this is based on an object storage, and maybe we're going to have access to those files a little bit differently, and your application may have to run in a different way. And if someone says this is block storage, you might say, whoa, who's going to format that for me, or how is that going to be provisioned so that my application can use that?